Has it ever happened to you that you arrive at the chicken coop in the morning with the hope of finding a full nest, only to run into the sad reality that it's empty? I know exactly how that feels. For a long time, my hens seemed to be on strike. They ate and ate, but as for eggs, not a word. I was spending money on corn, on concentrates, and nothing changed. Until an old breeder in the area shared a green secret with me that changed everything. Something that grows in nature and that we often ignore. Today, I'm not only going to reveal what this wonderful leaf is, but I'm also going to teach you the exact recipe for how to prepare it, so your hens not only lay more eggs, but are healthier than ever. Get ready because what you're going to learn today is pure gold for your backyard or your farm, and I assure you that your hens will thank you with cackles of joy. Before we start with this story that will transform your chicken coop, I want to ask you a very quick favor. If you like taking care of your animals and want to keep learning homemade and natural tricks, give this video a like right now. That little click helps me a lot to keep sharing these secrets with you. Do it now and let's begin. We've all gone through that stage where our chickens seem like expensive pets instead of productive animals. I remember a season where the weather was perfect, the water was clean, but egg production hit rock bottom. I would sit in the car looking at my hens and thinking, what am I doing wrong? I felt like I was throwing money away on food and not getting anything in return. A feeling of frustration that I'm sure you know well. If you raise chickens, you know it. I consulted Modern Farm magazines and they talked about artificial lights, hormones, or expensive industrial feed. But I wanted something natural, something that wouldn't force my animals but rather nourish their bodies so they would want to lay eggs on their own. I didn't want machines, I wanted happy hens. That search led me to investigate what chickens used to eat back in the day. The ones our grandparents had, who always laid eggs without so much technology. That's when I understood that the problem wasn't the quantity of food, but the quality. I was giving them too many carbohydrates with the corn, but they were missing the engine to manufacture the egg. My hens were chubby, yes, but nutritionally they were weak. They needed a superfood, and I was about to discover it on a tree branch that went unnoticed along the path. One day I visited Don Manuel, a neighbor who always had eggs to spare for sale, even in winter. While we were walking through his land, I saw him pull branches from a lush tree and toss them to the chickens. They went crazy, pecking at the leaves with an energy that mine didn't have. I asked him what that was, and he laughed, saying, "This, son, is chicken gasoline. It's moringa." He explained that we see a simple green leaf, but for a hen, that's like a concentrated multivitamin. I was skeptical at first. How could a simple leaf make such a difference? Don Manuel challenged me to try it, gave me a huge bunch of fresh branches and said, "Give them this chopped up for a week and then come back and tell me." I left there with more doubts than certainties, but with renewed hope. Sometimes we have the most effective solutions right under our noses, and we don't see them because we're looking for complicated answers. That afternoon, I arrived home determined to try that green miracle my neighbor boasted so much about, not knowing that I was about to start a revolution in my chicken coop. Here comes the interesting part, and I'll explain it to you simply. To make an egg, a hen needs a lot, and I mean a lot, of protein. Corn or wheat gives them energy to run and stay warm, but they have very little protein. This leaf, moringa, is famous worldwide because it has more protein than milk and more vitamins than many fruits. It is literally vegetable meat. When you give this leaf to your hen, you are giving her the bricks needed to build the egg. Imagine you want to build a house, the egg, but you only have cement, the corn, and you're missing the bricks, the protein. No matter how much cement you have, the house doesn't get built. By introducing this leaf, you give the hen the materials she was desperately missing. Plus, it's not just crude protein. These leaves have amino acids that are easy to digest. I've noticed that when my chickens eat this, they don't get heavy or lethargic. On the contrary, by having complete nutrition, their metabolism speeds up naturally, and the reproductive system, which is in charge of eggs, wakes up because the body feels there is an abundance of resources. Another problem I had that has surely happened to you is finding eggs with soft or deformed shells. That's horrible because sometimes they break inside the hen and cause infections, or they break in the nest and the chickens learn to eat the eggs. A very difficult habit to break. I spent money on calcium from the vet, but sometimes even that didn't work well. It turns out that this leaf has enormous amounts of calcium. much more than cow's milk. But the best part is that it's biological calcium, meaning the plant has already processed it, so it goes straight to the chicken's blood and from there to the formation of the shell. I started to notice that the eggs were no longer fragile. When tapping them to cook, the shell sounded firm, hard like porcelain. This is vital because a hen that doesn't have enough calcium in her diet will take it from her own bones to be able to lay an egg. That weakens her, leaves her lame, and eventually she stops laying. With this leaf, you protect your bird's skeleton and make every egg perfect, ready for sale or for your breakfast, without fear of it breaking just by looking at it. Now you might wonder how I give it to them. At first I made the mistake of throwing the whole branches on the ground. While the chickens pecked at them, a lot of the leaf was wasted, getting dirty with soil or feces, and they ended up eating less than necessary. I learned that the presentation of the food is key for them to make 100% use of it. I discovered there are two excellent ways. The first is fresh. You cut the branches and hang them a little high. This makes the hens have to jump a bit or stretch to peck, which serves as exercise and a distraction, preventing them from fighting with each other out of boredom. It's like an edible toy that keeps them active and happy. The second way, and my favorite for shock treatments, is to dry the leaves in the shade. When they are crunchy, you grind them with your hands or a blender into a green powder. That powder is gold. It can be stored for months and maintains all its properties. That way, it doesn't matter if it's winter or if the tree ran out of leaves. You have your vitamin reserve ready in a jar. Here is the recipe I promised you at the beginning of the video, the one that made my hens go from 0 to 100. It's not enough to just give them the leaf alone. You have to trick them a bit so they eat it all. I prepare a moist mash in the mornings. Take the base feed. It could be grains or the concentrate you usually give them. Then add a good handful of the finely chopped leaves or the dry powder and a splash of vegetable oil or water. The trick is to mix it until it's like a lumpy paste, not a soup. The oil or moisture makes the leaf powders stick to the concentrated feed. This way, the hen can't just pick out the concentrate and leave the greens. She has to eat it all together. It's like hiding vegetables from kids in their food, but it works wonders. I serve this first thing in the morning when they are hungriest after the night. It's incredible to see how they pounce on the feeder and eat every last grain. Doing this ensures that the dose of natural stimulant enters their system at the start of the day, giving them energy for the entire egg formation process that happens during daylight hours. Don't expect the nest to be full the very next day. Nature doesn't work that fast, but you will see changes in about 5 to 7 days. The first thing I noticed wasn't the eggs, but the color of my hens. Their combs, which were previously pale or pink, became a deep, bright, fleshy red. Their feathers also changed. They went from having dull, messy feathers to having a satin shine under the sun. A hen with a red comb and shiny feathers is a hen that is bursting with health and whose hormones are functioning perfectly. It's the visual signal that the internal factory has started up again. Seeing them so vital gave me a lot of joy. They were no longer huddled in a corner or sad. They were running around, scratching with strength, and their eyes looked bright and alert. Even if there weren't eggs yet, I already knew the remedy was working because I had restored my animal's health. And with a healthy hen, it's only a matter of time before she becomes a productive hen. And then it happened. About 10 days after starting with the moist mash recipe, I went to the chicken coop and found not 1, but 3 eggs in a single nest. The next day, there were 5. Within a week, almost all my hens were laying daily. It was as if someone had turned on a tap that was stuck. The feeling of carrying the basket and feeling the actual weight of the eggs is indescribable. I went from having to buy eggs at the store while having chickens, how embarrassing, to having so many that I started giving them away to my relatives. The investment of time in looking for the leaves and preparing the mixture paid for itself with the first dozen extra eggs I got. The most surprising thing was the consistency. Before, they would lay 1 day and then skip 3. With this leaf in their diet, the cycle regularized. I kept up the recipe, giving it to them about 3 or 4 times a week, not every day, so as not to oversaturate them. And the laying pace remained stable, even when it started to get a bit colder, something that used to always stop production. There is something your customers or your family will notice immediately: the color of the yolk. Supermarket eggs usually have a pale yellow yolk, almost sad, but when your hens consume this leaf rich in natural pigments and beta-carotene, the yolk transforms into a deep orange, almost red in some cases. I remember the first time I cracked open one of these eggs for breakfast. The yolk was dense, didn't break easily, and the color was spectacular. And the flavor, my friends, the flavor is something else. It's a farm-fresh taste, rich and creamy. This is because the leaf provides minerals and healthy fats that are transferred to the egg. If you sell eggs, this is your best advertising. When a customer opens an egg and sees that orange color, they know it's a real farm egg from a well-fed hen. My neighbors started asking me specifically for the eggs with the orange yolks, and I was even able to sell them for a slightly better price, all thanks to a plant that grows for free. Another key point is long-term health. This leaf isn't just for laying eggs. It's a natural antibiotic. Since I started using it, I've stopped seeing hens with the sniffles, respiratory problems, or strange diarrhea. The plant strengthens their immune system in an impressive way. I used to spend money on antibiotics in the water or synthetic vitamins when I saw them acting sluggish. Now my medicine cabinet is the garden. The leaf has antifungal and antiparasitic properties. It keeps the hen's gut clean, which allows them to better absorb nutrients from the rest of the food. It's a virtuous cycle of health. Think of it as life insurance for your birds. A hen that doesn't get sick is a hen that doesn't stop laying. Pauses in laying are often because the animal's fighting a minor infection that we don't see. By eliminating those micro-illnesses through diet, the animal's body can dedicate all its energy to what we care about: laying eggs. The best part of this story is that you can have total control. You don't have to depend on the store having the product. I cut a stake, a thick branch from Don Manuel's tree, and stuck it in the ground in my backyard. These plants, especially moringa and chaya, are so resilient that they take root very easily. In a few months, I already had my own bush. Having the tree at home means the food is always free and fresh. It doesn't require much care. It resists droughts and grows fast if you prune it constantly. Literally, planting this tree is like planting a feed factory for your hens. It's the cheapest and most profitable investment I've made in my life as a breeder. I encourage you to look for seeds or cuttings in your area. Ask at nurseries or neighbors. You can even keep it in a large pot if you have little space. There's no excuse. If you have chickens, you need to have this plant nearby. It's the perfect ally for self-sufficiency and for saving a lot of money on commercial feed. To close, I want to reflect on how all this started with a neighbor sharing his wisdom. If Don Manuel hadn't told me the secret, I would still be spending money and feeling frustrated. Now I do the same. When I see someone starting out with chickens, I give them a cutting from my tree and explain the recipe. Seeing others succeed is rewarding. It creates a community of mutual help. Plus, by using natural remedies, we are taking care of the environment and eating healthier. We aren't putting chemicals into the food chain. It's a benefit for the hens, for us, and for the planet. So when you see the results in your chicken coop, don't keep quiet. Tell others. Show them the difference in the yolks. Give them some leaves. Backyard poultry farming is beautiful, but it's much better when we all help each other have healthy and happy animals. Let's not lose the wisdom of the natural way. And there you have it, friends. Nature is wise and sometimes has the answers that industry has forgotten. That finely chopped green leaf mixed with love into the feed can be the difference between an empty nest and one full of high-quality eggs. Don't underestimate the power of good natural nutrition. Try it, have patience for a few days, and watch the magic happen in your chicken coops. I hope this story and this recipe help you as much as they help me. If you're going to try it, or if you already use a similar plant, let me know in the comments. I love reading your experiences. If this green secret has changed the way you view caring for your birds, please subscribe and like our channel. We are rescuing the wisdom that time tried to erase. Sow today to harvest a better tomorrow. The next treasure of knowledge will open before your eyes very soon.